It's time once again for another episode of the Franchise Business Radio Show. Broadcasting live from the Pro Business Channel studios in Atlanta. And now here's your host, pam-currie.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Franchise Business Radio. Really excited about the Spotlight Show today. We've got a full studio with some great guests, and we're going to be covering a lot of different aspects of the franchise world, Rich. Looking forward to introducing our listeners to all of the guests we have in the studio. So should we go ahead and do that?
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely have a room full of subject matter experts. So let's get in, just welcome each guest briefly before we introduce and begin with our first guest interview.
Sounds great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start with my left, and I know people can't see us, but see you on the radio, right? But our first, my guest to my left is Dean. Dean, would you just give us a couple sentences about yourself and who you are representing today?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Dean Trevelino, principal of Trevelino Keller. We're a digital public relations and marketing firm.
Excellent. Welcome. So happy to have you on the show.
Thanks.
And got a little bit of history with this gentleman. Barry, who are you?
Well, I'm J Falcon, and I'm with the iFranchise Group, and we help emerging and existing franchises with best practices and taking new companies to market.
Looking forward to learning more about that. Thank you. And Brian, pleasure to meet you, and welcome to the studio, Franchise Business Radio.
Thanks, Pam. It's good to be here. I'm Brian Anino. I have a firm based in Marietta and represent businesses of all sorts and types, but my practice has a focus on franchise law. And,
Excellent.
Been representing franchisors and franchisees and prospective franchisees for some time now. So it's good to be here.
Oh, yes. I have some great questions for you that I know our listeners are going to want to understand.
I look forward to it. Thanks.
And our other guest, and who would like to kick the show off with, Chuck. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Pam. Chuck Morrison. I'm the president and chief marketing officer for Staymobile, and we are a franchisor, and we do mobile device repair service for individuals, businesses, and in the education market.
Excellent. Well, welcome. And before we dive into learning a little bit more about Staymobile, Rich, would you share with us a little bit about Chuck's background?
Absolutely. My pleasure. So as we mentioned, Chuck Morrison, as a Staymobile president and CMO, Chuck leads the company's marketing and operations. Prior to his role at Staymobile, Morrison served as founder, president, and CEO of MoRisen Records and Hot But Sour Music Publishing, an independent record label and music publishing company. He's also extensive background in brand development, product development, and marketing, overseeing the sales cycle of products from ideation to retail at HiREV LLC, a company he co-founded in 1997. More than 20 years of branding, marketing, public relations, consumer promotions, retail, and online experience. Chuck has provided marketing consulting services and has worked to ignite, launch, and build brands for clients in a broad range of industries. Chuck has also graduated at the University of South Carolina, has 2 children, and coached youth basketball and baseball for 20 years. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Dean, did you write that? That's pretty good.
That's pretty good, yeah. Wow. Can I borrow this? Can I just change my name? That sounds pretty good.
Wow.
Top that, gentlemen, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And, but I think a good starting point is tell us a little bit about Staymobile.
Sure. We started in 2009 in Columbia, South Carolina, and we started in the back corner of a mattress store. That was when iPhone 4 came out, and we just felt like there was a need for repair because those were glass on both sides. And people started breaking them, and we didn't even have a sign in the back of this mattress store. We had a sandwich board on the sidewalk. And 9 months later, we moved into a about 1,100 square foot location 3 blocks from the University of South Carolina, and we saw, the volume just continued to pick up. And we started working with schools. One school in particular was an early adopter to iPad 1. And they started breaking them, so where were they going to take them? They brought them to us, and then we identified that as a big channel for us going forward. We relocated here to Marietta about 2 years ago, and now have about 46, 47 locations around the country, and probably be at about 70 by the end of August, and maybe 100 by the end of the year. So our people are great. For the longest time, it was just 2 of us. and I hired him when he was 21, and now he's our director of operations. So I think if you take the leadership team out of our mix, our average age of our employees is probably about 28. So we have a lot of young people, and they have a great career path ahead of them.
Oh, you aren't kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, coming out of the gates with that kind of career opportunity is every young professional's dream,
Yep.
right? What a great story. And actually, it's going to feed into some of our other guests, too. An emerging brand, obviously, started off grassroots and have really grown into a lot. Talk to us a little bit about Staymobile's franchise growth strategy. What's allowed you to get to where you are today?
We've been pretty selective. We have some great franchise experience and some of my partners, and we've been working with Dean since we started at Treva Keller, and they've done wonders for us in terms of really positioning us as being different than the other so-called competition that's out there. So we identified. We don't want to go throw somebody on an island, so we kind of organically grow it out so that we, build upon that, because our relationships at the state level with schools and so forth helps us then attract better franchise owners and in different locations if we have contractual business already built into it. So we're not just, they're not just going out and opening a store, build it, they'll come. We're going to have business for them from the start.
Excellent. And I always tell people whenever they're getting ready to go into business for themselves, then you should always be asking themselves the question, how am I going to go about getting my customers, right?
Yeah, especially in the service business like us. I mean, Dean and I have talked about it. You can't come try the sandwich at our place. We do have accessories, 300 SKUs or whatever, but you really have to have a need, and we just have to create the awareness, and that's where a firm like, Treva Keller and his team have really helped us in terms of all of the local marketing and search and that kind of thing. It's been huge for us.
Well, I have to share with you, right before we started the show, I was telling my producer, Rich, here, I was like, I love the name, Staymobile,
Yeah, thanks. We're having some fun with it now, too. It's a great name. Yeah, it's different.
Well, now, since Staymobile's inception 7 years ago, how has the franchise landscape changed?
For us, we're such a low cost of entry. Mm-hmm. We're not building a kitchen. You don't have to have a hood. I mean, we need 300 square feet. We operate some as low as that. Some one of them is 150. So, we can really we can maneuver and pivot and make it fit in about any kind of location. The trick is for us is finding the right people. We said no more than we've said yes, because you really have to immerse yourself in the community, in our business, and not just join the chamber, but go to events and be out there. Because if you're out there, then people will know about you, because this isn't Field of Dreams. Like, we can't just build it and they'll come.
I understand.
Yeah.
And just kind of help me out a little bit with location. It is a smaller footprint. Are you a standalone location? Or are you inside of other? What does that look like? Help me visualize.
Different models there. We have standalone freestanding stores, which are great, and usually we want to be in high traffic, corner of Main and Main kind of thing, and then we are inside Walmarts, about 17 of those, I think. And we are also open inside college bookstores now. Because, textbooks are going away, and they still have that square footage. And it occurred to us, that canvas bags, where textbooks used to be, probably isn't producing a lot of revenue per square foot. But we know that kids break the hell out of their phones. So, if we're on the campus, then we're getting them in the bookstore and not having them leave the campus.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other purpose there behind the behind your business in another way.
And we just opened one inside a mall. It's the first time we've done that. It's not a kiosk. It was a convenience store that it's in a food court in Pineville, North Carolina, and that's going to be probably our highest traffic location. About 2 million people a year go to that mall.
Wow, amazing. Wow, a lot of different retrofits and where it can go. It makes sense to me. So I kind of want to go back to this topic of franchising, hence the Franchise Business Radio Show. When you think about franchising, is now the right time to franchise?
It seems like it is, only because we have more interest than we've ever had.
Okay.
And we are present at a lot of the major franchise shows. We weren't early on. Now we go and people are lined up to talk to us. And it seems like the money is freeing up people have more money, but they're also a little bit more discerning about what they're going to spend it on. Do you want to go spend $1 million and open a restaurant, or do you want to go for a fraction of that and open multiple locations with us? I think that is the appealing thing about our business and our business model is it's multiples.
Yeah, I can definitely say a MUTA is what we like to call it in the franchise world, multi-unit development, right? Yep. Another acronym for a lot of people to learn. And when we think about the economic market, how do you, in your opinion, how has that affected the industry?
We've seen, it's going in the right trajectory. It's not going the wrong way. And there's, the more and more franchise concepts that are out there, not just in our industry, but all over the place. And so we get people that are trying to decide between maybe yogurt or us or, a cleaning business.
Sure.
So it's all over the place. And so we like the fact that people explore other industries, other franchise opportunities, and then compare us to them. And really, at the end of the day, when it's the people, and if we get them to come see us here, then we know that they're probably going to be good to go because our people make all the difference in the world. And that we've had more volume of people coming, and we have a lot more opportunities to expand now than we used to.
That's excellent. And with expansion, are you, you've started in South Carolina. Are you focused on the South, all over the U.S.?
I think we're in about 11 states now.
Excellent.
Yep, and soon to be probably half the states. And we're clustering them. So if we're going to Salt Lake City, we're not going to leave them on an island out there. We're going to develop out around them with company stores. If we have to, we can always backfill with the franchise owner because we need to have the cluster because you have utilization of resources and Dean and his team can really do a lot more damage in that market for us if we have multiple units there.
That makes sense from a PR and brand awareness standpoint. Having a cluster together, great advantages, shared resources.
Yep.
Absolutely. Economies of scale.
Correct.
Understood fully. You kind of already hit on something that's really important for anyone that's considering franchise ownership, and that's that there are so many different industries out there, right? Typically, you think of food-related concepts because that's what you know as a consumer. However, there's over 75-plus industry categories that are out there. Talk to us a little bit about why Staymobile is an attractive franchise investment opportunity for someone who's looking.
Right. It's a great question, and we get it all the time. On average, I think the studies show that everybody has about 3 mobile devices. It's probably 4. I've got 4 with me. And so people are,
wow.
You're going to always break them. You're going to always need something for them. You're going to upgrade. You're going to want to trade in. It's not going away. And technology is not going away in the classroom in K through 12, and it's not going away in higher education. It's not going away in business. So, it's something that it's a little bit like the Wild West. Right now it's getting, people a little bit more aware. But if you think about like a business that used to have a bunch of desktops, and then all of a sudden they issue, 2,000 laptops to their people, and they start breaking them, or 2,000 tablets. What do? Do they mail them off? How long can they be without them? That sort of thing. And so for us, this industry is great because the phones and the devices are getting better and better. They're getting more and more fragile too. You got Lil Wayne pouring champagne on his, S7. Guess what? We've done that, and it doesn't turn right back on. Okay. So, yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah. We're spoofing that too. So
Right.
You'll see some video later.
Yeah. Don't go out and test that commercial, right?
Right.
Fully understand.
So that's, I think that's it. We're just keeping pace with the technology, and, we have to, and doing a lot of warranty work for folks and that sort of thing. So we try to have built-in annuity business, so to speak, for our locations.
Excellent. And you've mentioned more than once that you are selective in who you want to bring into the Staymobile franchise system. Is there a particular profile that you're looking for in a franchisee?
Yes. Somebody you can kind of tell. It really you have to be community driven, and you really want to have that person that can. If it's not going to be them, it's going to be their main person that's going to be in the community and being the face of it. And we don't just sponsor youth sports. We go and do free cleanings. We're at every event possible. If it's a, whatever street fest, we're doing free cleanings, we're giving stuff away. And you have to have that personality, that kind of dynamic personality out there doing it, because we're not shopkeepers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of our competition, they're shopkeepers. And
Yes.
we don't see them at any of these events where we are. And I think that makes a difference. So you can tell right away if that person's not going to be like that, then we need to know that there's going to be somebody like that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone who's going to take a proactive approach.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they're not going to be successful, and we're not going to set them up to not be successful. So.
Absolutely. I love that philosophy.
Yeah.
And for those that are listening and interested in learning more about Staymobile, how would they go about getting in touch with you?
They can email me, Chuck at Staymobile.com, and they can just go to our website, and there's a whole franchise section that's there, and they can. There's a form, and we'll get right back to them.
Okay.
And Dean and his team built our website too, so then it's great.
Chuck at Staymobile.com. Should we spell it out for those that are not good spellers?
You want to take a shot
Go
at it?
for it. I think I can handle it.
Go CHUCK at STAYMOBILE.com.
Excellent. You would be surprised how many times I get asked how to spell my business name. So
Okay. All right.
I'll throw it out there. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing. And if you have any special events that are coming up, we'll circle back around. Would love to learn more about that.
Okay, thanks.
Things. Excellent. Well, let's go ahead. We're going to go to our next guest. We're going to really turn the table here. It's one thing to get excited about a franchise opportunity, but there is a legal aspect to it. And we really want to be able to dive into some of those legal components to identify, is this really a good fit, not only on a personal, professional level, but from a legal standpoint.
Sure.
So, Brian, welcome.
Thank you.
Again, before we dive into this, I'm going to have Rich share a little bit about you, or if you would like to share a little bit about your background.
Sure. I'm happy to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, you were returning guest. I think you were here on Atlanta Legal Experts,
That's
right?
That's right. Yes, sir. I'm Brian Anino. I've got a business law practice based in Marietta, Georgia. We work with clients throughout the states of Georgia, South Carolina, and even in Massachusetts. I focus my practice on representing a franchisor and franchisees in multiple industries, and also folks that are interested in becoming franchisees. I'm a small business owner myself. I'm a big believer in small and mid-sized business. I get excited about concepts too. I'm very excited about Chuck's concept. I came home yesterday to discover that my toddler had thrown one of our iPhones into the toilet. So I have, I think, a file cabinet. No comment. It was not a clean situation, shall I say.
There was no champagne in there. Yeah.
It was not champagne. I think I have a file cabinet at the office full of mobile devices that probably could be saved. So I will be looking for my local franchise to help save the Staymobile franchise. I need to stay mobile. If I go to the store over here in Lenox Square and deliver my iPhone, I'm without it for 6 hours. I come back and there's 20 missed calls, and it's a mess. So
We all
the
feel
downtime is not good. So I get excited about business concepts as well. But you're absolutely right. It's important to take an objective eye towards reviewing any business, but particularly in the franchise industry. And the great thing about the franchise industry is that franchisors are required to produce what's called a franchise disclosure document that describes their business in detail. And it's done under the auspices of the franchise rule, which is a federal regulation adopted by the Federal Trade Commission and enforced by the FTC.
Absolutely. And for our listeners who maybe are not as familiar with franchising, that franchise disclosure document, could you give us some tips when they receive that?
Sure.
For reviewing it?
Sure. They should receive this document 14 days before they're required to sign a franchise agreement or before they pay any money. And within that time period, they should visit an experienced franchise attorney to review the document. And ideally, the franchise attorney should also bring in a financial expert, typically a CPA. In certain cases, I've brought in CPAs or forensic accountants to help me go through the financial statements and such. Mm-hmm. But having an attorney review the document is helpful for many, many reasons. First and foremost, the experience in reviewing these documents and working with franchisors. Second, it allows you to have an objective eye reviewing the agreement to give you advice. I mean, obviously, you're very excited about this concept. Emotions are at play. Gosh, if I went down to a Porsche lot, I'd get very excited about buying a Porsche right away. My objective eye in that case would probably be my wife, who would not want me to come home with a new Porsche. But regardless, it's helpful, and franchise attorneys know what to look for in that document. Also significant is that the franchise disclosure document includes a form of the very franchise agreement that you are going to be tied to for the next 5, 10, or 20 years, and in many cases a personal guarantee through which you are personally liable for ensuring that you meet the obligations of the franchise agreement. So those terms should be reviewed by an attorney, and in some cases, some franchisors are willing to negotiate some of those terms.
And I want to touch upon that in a minute here. But a really, I think, important point to make is that when you have an attorney review that franchise disclosure document and franchise agreement, that it is a franchise attorney.
Correct.
It is special law. So you can't go get Cousin Bob.
Correct.
Who I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, everyone's got their dad's real estate or criminal defense attorney, and they're friends of the family. But you need someone that has experience in franchise law. If someone comes to me in a bankruptcy matter, I don't handle bankruptcy. I'm going to refer it out. If someone has a domestic relations, a family law issue, we've got great contacts we refer those cases out to. We focus our practice on specialized areas, and that's the way that the practice of law is. It's impossible to keep up to date with laws in different areas in every single state, but we focus, and we spend a lot of time focusing and keeping up on our education on what's going on in the states that also regulate franchise law, in addition to the FTC, and the way that courts and arbitration tribunals are enforcing franchise agreements.
Yes.
It's very important.
Yeah, and staying current with all of that. Absolutely.
That's right.
You also mentioned something else that I want to kind of focus in on, and that is negotiations. Can you negotiate the terms of a franchise agreement?
We make every effort to, in working with franchisors on that, and we're talking about common sense provisions. Now, ideally, a franchisee should have a symbiotic relationship, right? Franchisor does well, the franchisees do well. It depends on what terms we're looking at. If we're looking at a governing law provision, that's probably not something the franchisor is going to want to negotiate. They're going to want the law in their home state to govern. They're also going to want to litigate. Hopefully, we don't have to get to litigation, but if we do, the franchisor is going to want to do it in their home state. They're likely going to want an arbitration. But to start out with, there are circumstances where we've negotiated lower royalty provisions, lower initial franchise fees, a multitude of other areas affecting the relationship. So, again, I hate to have a lawyerly response, but it depends. I will tell you right now, if you're going to buy a McDonald's is not going to negotiate their franchise agreement.
Yes.
They don't need to, but there are many other franchisees that will. And honestly, it depends on what's in the franchise disclosure document. If we pinpoint areas of trouble, or if we have a new franchisor that's out there, then they're more willing to negotiate. They really want to get good new franchisees in the door. And
to that point, you kind of alluded to this, sometimes depending on the size of the franchise system might dictate to what degree negotiations are going to be permitted.
Sure. Correct. I always recommend having a franchise lawyer review the franchise agreement, and they will give you an honest assessment of what your obligations are. I mean, if you pull up one of the franchise agreements, one of the standard agreements that we see out there, it's a very difficult thing for a layman to review, quite frankly.
I would agree.
So having a lawyer review that, and it's worth having a lawyer to review it just to make sure you understand what you're signing.
Right.
Because it's very difficult to go into a court and tell a judge and a jury, hey, I didn't know what I was signing, when you're a sophisticated business person, you had an opportunity to do due diligence and It's not an argument that's going to hold weight. Have an attorney review it to make sure you know what your obligations are, and then an experienced attorney will be able to efficiently tell you, in my opinion, what provisions could be negotiated and what you should go back with.
Makes sense. Any other tips regarding needed due diligence?
Well, the great thing about a franchise disclosure document is that it lists existing franchisees. And I strongly recommend that my clients that come to me call as many of them as you feel comfortable to and having honest discussions about their own experiences. And again, I mean, due diligence is critical in regards to buying any business, but with a franchise, I mean, you've got your homework essentially half done for you through this franchise disclosure document. So take advantage of that and make sure that you're comfortable with that.
Definitely. Great advice. Great advice for anyone who's considering franchise ownership. If someone wanted to reach out to you, how would they go about getting in touch?
Well, they can reach out to me via email. It's brian@anninolawfirm.com, BRIAN@ANNINO lawfirm.com. You can also call me at the office, 770-427-1161.
What's that phone number?
770-427-1161.
Thank you. No, and by the way, your name, it's sort of almost rhythmic, isn't it?
That's nice to hear. It's an old Sicilian name. Most people, they add a tilde in there, and they call me a Nino or something like that.
El Nino.
El Nino.
El Nino.
It was a popular nickname thanks to that weather phenomenon.
Well, great having you on the show, and
Thanks for having me.
the excellent advice.
Thanks, Pam.
Wow, we're just getting so many different perspectives on the franchise world here, and that's what I love about this show today. Everyone's coming at it from a different angle. Our next guest is also going to educate us a little bit more about what it means to take a brand, or an idea, I should say, from concept to franchise. Rich, would you share with us a little bit about Barry?
Yes, my pleasure. So Barry J. Falcon, with a professional business career that spans more than 40 years across a range of industries and functions, including communications, technology, operational and manufacturing consulting, marketing, project management, and business development. Mr. Falcon has over 10 years of direct experience in franchising, both as a franchisee and as an executive within multiple national franchise systems. Prior to joining the iFranchise Group as a senior consultant, Mr. Falcon served as CEO partner and remains as a board member at All American Decorative Concrete. Before his tenure at All American Decorative Concrete, Mr. Falcon also was president, co-founder, and partner, and remains as a board member at the Shelf Genie franchise systems, where he helped to establish the franchise program, instrumental in growing the concept from zero to 145 locations in 5 years. Wow. And you survived to talk about that? All right. And is also a franchise owner with Velocity Sports Performance. In the first year of operations, grew revenues to $800,000. Not bad for a first year. And finally, as an active marathon runner and cyclist, is involved in a number of professional and community organizations, including local chambers of commerce and the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. Received a professional designation in business management from UCLA. Has also received certified franchise executive designation from the International Franchise Association. So, Mr. Falcon, welcome to Franchise Business Radio.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Good to see you on the radio, Barry. And I also am just going to put this little plug in here. Barry and I are also on the advisory board for Georgia State University. And it's been fun working with him on that level as well. But Barry, let's jump into a couple things. We've been talking about franchising. Let's talk about the idea when you come up with a concept and then you want to franchise it. Concept of franchise. What does that mean?
Well, a lot of people have great ideas, and then the real key thing is, can it scale, right? Is it duplicatable? So as being a franchisee at one point in my career and being on the franchisor side, I knew exactly what to do to make it so it's scaled. And so you want to automate things, but you can't have it where one person is the technical expert and the whole business revolves around that one person. So concepts are great. It's a matter of can it scale and does it fit a niche market? What solution, what problem does it solve? What solution is there going to be? So you can go from 0 to 1,000 locations. It has to be cost effective. And really one of the most important things is two really most important things: lifestyle and profitability. And so my first franchise that I bought as a franchisee, the lifestyle had to be no cash, no teenagers, and it had to make money while I wasn't there. I had a young daughter who was a competitive tennis player, and we traveled around the country, and I wanted the business to run while I wasn't there. And I didn't want cash because cash makes honest people dishonest. And I didn't want teenagers because I had 3 of my own. And I knew that on Friday night, if they had a hot date, they would call in sick. So those were my requirements. And so you have to find out what your requirements are for your lifestyle. So do you want a 7-day-a-week job? Do you want a 24-hour, a week a company? Or do you want something where it affords you to go away and be an absentee owner?
Excellent.
And that's absolutely critical when you're coming up with your concept.
Absolutely, and then not only when you're coming up with your concept, and also when you're considering.
Correct. Considering buying.
By considering buying. So I have a great idea. Let's pretend I have a great idea. What steps does it take?
Well, what I do as a strategic advisor for emerging brands, we're going to sit down there and we're going to look at the competitive landscape, first of all. Who else is out there? I mean, if it's another hamburger place, why are you different? What's unique about your concept in the marketplace? And some people have new concepts. Doesn't mean they're going to take hold just because it's a new concept.
Sure.
And then we're going to do a financial model, a pretty in-depth financial model from the franchisee perspective and the franchisor perspective. And so we're going to do a pretty sophisticated Excel budget and see what it takes to be profitable, because if you don't make money on the franchisee side, it will fall, and then the franchisor will tumble.
Absolutely.
So it has to be a good, solid business model that's repeatable, and you have to be able to make money. So we're going to go through the competitive market landscape, and we're going to definitely do a financial model and ask a lot of questions.
Excellent. It's kind of a full-blown feasibility.
Correct.
assessment.
Absolutely. It's a feasibility assessment. That's phase 1 of the program. And if you pass phase 1 of the program, then it's kind of like on to, okay, now let's operations manual. Do you have a corporate? Do you have at least one site up and running? Well, it's very, very important to say on paper it's one thing, but have you done it? Been there, done that. So at least get a corporate location open and running, and then find out if your business model really, what you projected, happens in reality.
Yeah.
What's your customer acquisition cost, what's your marketing cost, what's your ROI, what's your lead generation, and test it out for 6, 9 months, 12 months, and say, okay, we've kind of worked out all the bugs. Now we're ready to franchise because we know what we need to do.
Excellent. Yeah, work through those trials and tribulations.
Correct.
I fully get it. So what, are there percentages out there? What are the chances of success?
Well, there's about 2,500, 2,600 franchise concepts out there today in the U.S., and very, very few get to 100 locations. So that's kind of like
Great
a big
point.
magic number. There's plenty of franchise, hundreds and hundreds of them, that have 10 locations, 15 locations, 20 locations. But getting to that magic 100 is a big thing. And so, as you're looking as a potential franchisee, you're going to look at concepts. You're going to talk to business brokers and give you some advice, and you're going to look at the ones that are financially sound.
Yes.
And those are the ones that typically grow fast because the franchisees are making money, and they also expand. So they'll buy multiple locations either to start or 6 or 12 months into it. So coming up with a concept is great. It's a matter of does it work. And get out there and test the waters, and then make it happen.
Right. And we've got such a great example in the studio right now, Staymobile. And, just generally speaking, do you think that there is a good progression of growth for an emerging brand?
Absolutely. One is, I would say, and I think I think Chuck's doing it kind of stay regional at the beginning, so you don't have to have islands on the West Coast if you're based here in Atlanta, and so you can support your franchisees. That's very, very important. And also, in today's marketplace, I'm sure Staymobile, the entry fee is not $1 million, and so people that are new into franchising should probably get into something they can afford to lose, and as a trial, and then not that they want to lose it,
sure,
but get into something that's $25,000-$50,000 versus signing up for $1 million, mortgaging your house, signing up your firstborn to the SBA loan, and if it's a little risky, your whole life is now a gamble. Try if you're just getting into franchising, try a concept that's maybe a small brick and mortar, a small footprint, or a home-based business where you're not mortgaging your entire house, your 401k. If it goes south, you're bankrupt. So I tell people to ease into it. Find a good concept. Early adopters are great. Negotiate the franchise agreement if you're going to be an early adopter, at least on maybe fees or deferment of franchise fees going forward.
Yeah. Okay. Great advice. There's another topic that I know is kind of dear to your heart, and that's teamwork.
Sure. The key thing is for a franchisor to be really transparent on their business and work with franchisees. So you have to work as a team to grow the business. Once your concept is up and running, the best ideas going forward are all going to come from franchisees. The franchisor sitting there in their so-called ivory tower, the people out there doing it every single day are the ones that are going to come up with the best ideas. You get your franchise advisory council, and that's going to be the future of the business. New technologies that are going on, just new customer acquisition techniques, but to listen to the franchisees. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love the point you just made there, that some of the best ideas come from the franchisees themselves.
Correct.
Right, and definitely one of the advantages of being part of a system.
Right.
And not an individual in a bubble. Right. Excellent. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they go about doing that?
Sure. Well, my email address is bfalcon. Everybody knows the football team when they're winning. So it's bfalcon at ifranchisegroup.com. It's bfalcon at ifranchisegroup.com, or my office number is 404-518-8858.
Excellent. What's that phone number again?
404-518-8858.
Wow. Thank you so much for being on the show.
It's been great. Thanks.
Is this great or what, Rich?
I'm telling you, it's just fascinating, all the subject matter and the conversations and the expertise in the room. I hope people are taking notes, but we'll definitely have this on our channel and on the podcast and syndication as well.
Excellent. And because I know our listeners can't see this, but I've been looking at my producer here, and he's got this great tie on that says "on air." I think we got to take a picture and go ahead and post
we'll add that to
that
the show posting. Yeah.
Speaking of posting and public relations and PR, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Dean Treva. Am I saying that properly?
You're saying it great.
Wow, I'm impressed with myself. Tell us a little bit about Dean, Rich.
Absolutely. So Dean's 25 years of agency experience, from global firms to his own agency, has offered him the opportunity to work with significant franchise brands at important times, including the launch of Starbucks in the Southeast, Chick-fil-A, Moe's Southwest Grill, TCBY, Johnny Rockets, Corner Bakery, and more, leading national strategies like Sara Lee's Olympic presence or consulting on the BP Gulf oil crisis. That's quite a span there, right? All right, to work with global celebrities and sports personalities. Dean has a rich agency life, as we mentioned, with a start in technology, followed by a long consumer brands run. His career over the last decade has included a significant focus around new media and devices, national launches, and local market engagement. His vision for the future of communications resides around reputation marketing, the intersection of reputation management and digital marketing. So, Dean, welcome to Franchise Business Radio.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Dean. And one of your clients is actually in the studio.
Yeah, Staymobile.
So let's talk about this. We've kind of gone through the gamut. You've got a great idea. They take it, they franchise it. They work with a great franchise attorney. They work with a great group to make sure that it's the feasibility test has been done and it's going to do well in the marketplace. How do we grow the name? Why does a franchise need public relations?
Yeah, so great question. And, just to kind of put the context around what I've heard earlier today, I think, franchises do exceptionally well when they have a great concept, as Barry said. And, they're buttoned up in terms of all their documentation. So you have a great concept. Then you need great franchisees, right? You need a great franchisor, you need great franchisees. There are a number of concepts out there that do very well as a great concept with a combination of great franchisees and mediocre franchisees. Okay, and every concept has them, and they're mediocre. Again, to touch on Barry's point, they're mediocre in part because they the great ones are engaged. Right, you sign up, you're a franchisee, and you are engaged in that store, that concept. Or if you opted not to follow that path, you've hired a really strong GM. Right. The ones that tend not to do well are the ones that are just not engaged or made a poor choice on who they've hired, right? So let's just say you've got a great concept and you've got great franchisees, okay?
Okay.
Those are the two to the three critical paths to success. The third one is marketing, and I'm sure Brian can comment on this. More often we see lawsuits in the franchise environment because franchisees complain about marketing. The franchisor is not contributing enough in terms of marketing. And it's really a two-way street, right? The franchisee has to be engaged. They have to invest in it as well as the franchisor.
Sure.
And so, success is really pretty easy in terms of franchising. Great concept, great franchisee and franchisor, and great marketing. Okay, and that's where we come in terms of the marketing. And Staymobile is actually the best example of what we are seeing today in terms of marketing, because most concepts, regardless of how sophisticated they are, don't get the idea that they need to market from a hyperlocal standpoint, that it needs to get down to the actual location. You couldn't do that before, but we can do that today with digital marketing, because at a local level, it's really not affordable to pay for traditional advertising. It's not even affordable to pay for traditional public relations.
Okay.
It's digital marketing that is the new platform that allows the franchisor to do it and the franchisee to do it.
Explain digital marketing.
Okay. So digital marketing, comes in a lot of shapes and sizes, right? And depending on who you're talking to, they will define it maybe with their own nuances. But the way we look at it is, and the way it is affordable now for the local franchisee, is it's everything from, you've got a corporate website. Staymobile has a great corporate website, but then we also build landing pages for each store, right? Those landing pages allow each franchisee to customize their offers, their location, their hours, things like that, right? But then we come in with SEO, search engine optimization, to drive traffic to that site. That's a piece of digital marketing.
Okay.
And most franchise concepts, if they have a landing page for their local franchisee, that's a bonus. That's a step up from most, although that's changing, but a step up historically. Now to apply SEO to that landing page is really rare. And again, the Staymobile folks got it, and they're doing it, and it's working. Other pieces, social media falls kind of into the to the digital marketing piece.
Okay.
Most franchisors are doing social media, and they're doing it fairly well, but then it falls off at the local store level, right? And it shouldn't. And it should be something that can be done by the staff of a local franchisee. If not, then it could be outsourced to, an agency like us. And there's enough technology out there now that we can write something that is applicable to multiple stores and push it out across those multiple stores.
Okay.
At the same time, you can still localize it per store. That's another piece of digital. The other piece is things like remarketing. So if someone comes to your site, right, and then they go off to other sites, I'm going to follow them. They're going to see my brand. They're going to see that Staymobile brand when they go to Amazon or when they go to Facebook or wherever they're searching.
Okay.
So remarketing. One of the last pieces that we tend to use in the franchise world is more paid digital, pay-per-click, where we're actually, because we can get very hyper-local on the demographic that we want to engage with, the location. And so a franchisee, again, can spend $500 a month with us on a pay-per-click strategy, and we can draw a circle around where we want to reach those folks.
Wow, that does include a lot. Because I have to admit, I hear digital marketing strategy. I hear that term thrown around a lot, and I'm like, what exactly does that mean? So that was an excellent explanation.
And it's changing all the time.
Yes, I bet it is. Stay digital.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. So what? I mean, I think you kind of summed it up. But the name of your agency is Travelino Keller.
Yes.
And is that exactly what you do? What is it that you do?
Yeah, so we started out in 2003 as a fairly traditional public relations firm. We grabbed social media shortly thereafter as that became relevant. We got into what was called the blogosphere. I don't think we refer to it that way anymore. But and so we were doing those things. So we were PR and social, and then companies were asking us to do creative work. And creative became more relevant in terms of social, right? So you want your Facebook page to have a certain brand look like your brand identity, and you want to be able to do other types of creative design executions on the franchise side, because we help franchisors sell franchises. We need to be able to do design for trade shows and things like that. And so creative became another component of the agency.
Okay.
And then from there, we realized that we needed to get more digital, and because clients didn't want us to just build their reputation, which in our industry, in the traditional public relations industry, they call that reputation management. They wanted us to have an impact on the bottom line. And as great as public relations is, and we've got plenty of examples where we may have gotten a story in Wall Street Journal or on ABC World News, and it had a direct impact to the business. I can't guarantee that every time. So I needed some other platform. I needed digital marketing. And so we added digital marketing to the agency. And then the last piece is what we call demand generation. Right?
Okay.
So we've got inbound marketing, outbound marketing that defines demand generation and digital content marketing. So those are kind of the four areas that we focus on: PR, digital marketing, demand generation, and creative services.
Very nice. And is one more, I guess, measurable than the other?
Yes. Digital marketing comes with all kinds of analytics. So does demand generation. If I push out an e-blast on a platform like Constant Contact or MailChimp, our local MailChimp guys here, I get all kinds of metrics on who got it, when they opened it, if they downloaded something, if they went from that e-blast to a landing page to get another message, how long they stayed on that landing page, all kinds of metrics.
Wow.
Did they actually transact if there was an ability to transact? Whereas public relations, again, if I, earned media is just one piece of public relations, but if we generate an article in the trade and we put an 800 number, and you call that 800 number to ask about buying a franchise for Staymobile, I could track that too.
Wow.
But more often, it's a little more difficult to track pure earned media.
Makes sense. And so I know that you really have a focus on franchising, and what is the differences, or what's unique about PR when you are focused on a franchise versus a different kind of client?
Yeah. So our the agency has evolved. We were always scaling in terms of skills and expertise, right? So today we actually have 7 practice areas, franchise being one of them. We have a food and beverage, we have technology, environment, health. And whereas there are agencies out there that are just franchise agencies.
Okay.
We like our model because we're really deep in those other 6 practice areas. So if you're a Staymobile, for example, we're going to resonate with you because we've got a really good technology practice and we've got a franchise practice. So we understand the industry as well as the franchise space.
Understood.
We're launching a concept here in Atlanta called Cycle Bar, which is in the cycling, indoor cycling category. They like us because we've got franchise experience, but we also have health and lifestyle. So those other practice areas resonate really well. Our services in terms of PR digital demand, they cross all 7 practice areas.
Very nice. Excellent. Thank you for educating us on all of that. Help us know, if our listeners want to get in touch with you, Dean, how do they go about doing that?
Well, it's a mouthful, right? So it's D. Trevelino, Trevelino, at Trevelino Keller, one word, KELLER.com. Phone number 404-214-0722, extension 106.
Excellent. Thanks for all of the great, just wonderful wisdom around franchising. Just such a great group. And I just want to quickly go around and just allow everyone to give their contact information for our listeners out there. Chuck, one more time, could you please share with us how someone would get in touch with you?
Yep. Chuck Morrison, phone number 678-695-8534. And then Chuck, CHUCK, at Staymobile, STAYMOBILE.com.
Excellent. Brian.
Brian Anino, my phone number is 770-427-1161. And you can reach me via email at Brian, BRIAN, at AninoLawFirm.com. And we also maintain a website with updated information.
Excellent. Thank you, Barry.
It's Barry Falcon. Phone number is 404-518-8858. And it's bfalcon at ifranchisegroup.com.
Great. And Dean?
Yeah, so it's Dean Trevelino. That's D. Trevelino at TrevelinoKeller.com, 404-214-0722, extension 106.
Thanks to everybody. And again, this is Franchise Business Radio is really a platform to bring together franchise professionals and resources for the purpose of connecting, educating, and collaborating to serve the franchise community as well as the franchise consumer. Rich, any closing comments?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a lot of activity on social media, and I was taking some notes here thinking, man, I think we should lock the doors so that Pro Business Channel can launch its franchising across the country. I think we can pull from all these folks here, from the legal perspective, from franchisee, from the PR perspective. I think if they don't mind staying for lunch or whatever, we'll lock the door and we'll make this happen. We'll have 100 locations by the end of the year, That does seem to be the benchmark, right? It's
100 is a big number to get to.
Yeah, big time. Before we kind of close things out, we definitely want to take just a minute and let folks know about yourself and your offerings, but you also have some kind of cool announcements you've been working on for quite some time as well, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, I've been very, very busy, and to everybody's point, that things are paying off for me. I actually, with a business partner, have just taken on the area representative rights for the state of Georgia for a young emerging brand that hopefully all of you will get to know very quickly, Club Store Outlet. It's a wholesale outlet concept, and I'll share more with you about that. We're going to have a different show on it to go more deeper with it. But very, very excited.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Building is Barry here has already alluded to profitability and hopefully that retirement plan.
Yeah, well, congratulations on that, right? The crowd goes wild, yeah. So folks that are not maybe obviously your information is at your site as well. Matter of fact, go ahead and give that out if you would.
Yeah, sure. If anyone ever wants to contact me regarding franchising, my name is Pamela Currie. I can be reached at 847-970-8765. My website, www.franchiseintellect.com, and franchise 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 intellect INTELLECT. very often I'm asked, how do you spell intellect? So
we should have a buzzer or a bell that says got it correct. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, again, just in the last couple of minutes. So in your role, you wear several hats, right? As a consultant, and kind of share with us folks reaching out to you what they might expect that experience interaction look like.
Right. Yeah. I kind of like to say it's knowledge around franchising, and I've had long experience in the franchise industry. I've seen the franchise business model from all different perspectives. And really what I'm able to do is guide individuals who are considering franchise ownership, help them through that process of finding the right business that will be a good fit for their lifestyle, profitability, and also orchestrate the resources so they can do their proper due diligence. Helping possibly find the right franchise attorney, finding the right funding source. So really able to assist someone in finding that right business for them. I like to call myself a business matchmaker. And then above and beyond that, of course, I do work with specific brands and just consulting on different areas of need. That's what's gotten me involved with Club Store Outlet. Very much heavily got involved with assisting them on a lot of different levels, recruitment of franchisees, as well as trying to get some of their operational infrastructures in place, which has led me to fall in love with the concept and take on my own territory, the state of Georgia.
That's pretty awesome. And then, but again, for the average civilian reaching out to you can be you're kind of a broker as well. So if they're kind of researching, as I think Barry mentioned, like 3,000 some odd franchise in the country, you can come going to help narrow those down for those folks?
Yeah, absolutely. And that, honestly, that's probably one of the greatest challenges. Franchising's all around us, but you're not aware of the many different concepts that are out there. And really just getting that exposure, getting educated on potential franchise opportunities that you might not be aware of. That's what I'm able to do as a franchise broker, consultant, really come in, help you navigate those waters, and really identify what's the key criteria you're looking for in a business, what's your financial capability. And once we get that into scope, it can bring us, it will start to shrink that pool of 3,000. It will really start to shrink it. And then we'll go, I'll just help you be effective in your due diligence to make sure that hopefully you're making a wise decision for yourself. Ultimately, it's your decision, but it's really nice to have someone just to guide you through those steps. And I'm sorry, go ahead, Rich.
So there's just infinite number of options or scenarios in terms of budget and the legal aspect of it and all the options out there. And then in the past, people used to just go to the bookstore and pick up that franchise directory book and just start page one, right? And how am I going to call all those folks or go to all their websites? So it's really a great service. So you can kind of sit down and kind of navigate, like you said, those waters and kind of
absolutely.
Narrow things down.
There's textbook and there's real world.
Right.
Two different things.
Well, I think that wraps up another exciting episode of Franchise Business Radio.
Thanks to everybody. Great show. Please tune in to the next Franchise Business Radio show. It is hosted the second Wednesday of every month at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pam-currie signing off.
Thank you again for joining Pam-currie and her guests on the Pro Business Channel. Use the social media links here to share today's show and stay tuned for the next episode of the Franchise Business Radio Show.